The airport seemed ordinary that morning. People were milling about, luggage was being hurriedly pulled, and flight announcements sounded flat, like any other day. But no one realized that, in a corner that had barely been noticed, a farewell was taking place that would be remembered far longer than any flight schedule. Zhao Lusi arrived unescorted. No manager, no stylist, no entourage. She was dressed simply, her face covered by a mask, but her eyes could hide nothing. Beside her walked Liu Yuning, her steps calm, but her shoulders slightly tense, as if holding back something that shouldn't be dropped in public. There were no big words, no dramatic embrace. Just two people walking side by side, too close to be casual, too far to be formal. But it was precisely that distance that made the moment so poignant. Some fans who happened to be at the airport began to notice their presence. At first, they hesitated. Then they exchanged glances. And when they were sure, no one dared to approach. It was as if everyone knew this was not the moment for shouting, not the moment for the cameras. Zhao Lusi stopped a few steps before the security checkpoint. She didn't go any further, as if she knew that if she crossed that line, this goodbye would become too real. Liu Yuning paused. For a few seconds, time seemed to freeze. She lowered her head slightly, saying something inaudible. Zhao Lusi nodded slowly. A smile appeared, a thin, fragile, almost crumbling smile. The kind that only appears when someone is trying to appear strong, even though their heart is slowly breaking. Liu Yuning raised her hand, as if to touch, then withdrew it. That small gesture hit harder than any hug, because in that pulling hand, there were thousands of unspoken words. When she finally turned toward the gate, Zhao Lusi didn't leave immediately. She stood there, staring at her retreating back. Her eyes were glassy. Her breath seemed a little shaky. And in that moment, some fans lowered their heads, crying silently. Soon, blurry photos began circulating. They weren't neat. They weren't promotional photos. But precisely because of that, they felt real. Too real. Social media exploded within minutes. "Why does this feel like the final scene of a drama?" wrote one fan. "This hurts more than any ending," wrote another. Many wondered, why did Zhao Lusi come alone? Why without the spotlight? Why without an announcement? The answer was simple, because this wasn't for the public. This was a farewell that should have been shared only by the two of them. Zhao Lusi and Liu Yuning had always been known to keep their distance in front of the cameras. Professional, orderly, never giving any obvious opportunity for gossip. But precisely because of that, this small moment at the airport felt like a crack in the skin, revealing their humanity. Not as famous actresses, not as famous singers, but as two people who had to part ways with no idea when they would see each other again. Several witnesses said that after Liu Yuning disappeared behind the door, Zhao Lusi remained standing for a few seconds. She took a deep breath, lowered her head, then turned away with quick steps. It was as if she had walked any slower, her tears would have fallen there. The night after the incident, posts about the airport continued to emerge. Not from official accounts, not from major media outlets, but from ordinary fans who felt the need to share what they saw, or rather, what they felt. Every sentence was filled with emotion. Every blurry photo felt like a sliver of a shared wound. Some fans confessed to being unable to sleep. They replayed old videos, old interviews, snippets of small interactions that once felt ordinary. Now, everything seemed different. Every smile, every glance, seemed to find new meaning after that brief farewell at the airport. Others also realized one crucial thing. Zhao Lusi hadn't posted anything since the incident. No posts, no stories, no sign of her. That silence spoke louder than any clarification. Her silence felt heavy, as if she'd chosen to keep her feelings far from the screen. Meanwhile, Liu Yuning was reportedly already on the plane when the news broke. Imagine, while the world was discussing your breakup, you were sitting quietly staring at the clouds out the window. No one knew what she was thinking, but many believed. Not all departures feel like ordinary journeys. Longtime fans began comparing this moment to scenes from dramas they once starred in. The difference was, This time there was no script. No director said cut. The tears that fell weren't part of the scene, and the pain didn't stop when the cameras cut. Some comments suggested that this was the most painful form of maturity, loving without tying down, accompanying without possessing, and letting go without promises. Perhaps that's why this moment resonated so much. Because many people have been in that position, just not witnessed by millions of eyes. The airport has now returned to normal. People are coming and going as usual. But for some fans, the place has become a symbol. A symbol that not every beautiful story has to have a happy ending to be meaningful. Zhao Lusi and Liu Yuning might meet again someday. Maybe not. But that brief moment left something indelible, that behind the spotlight, the busy schedules, and the public image, they were still human beings capable of loss. And perhaps that's why this story lives on. Not because we want to know the answer, but because we see ourselves there, standing still, holding back tears, watching someone meaningful walk away, hoping that the goodbye wouldn't be the last. As time passes, the lingering emotions don't immediately disappear. Instead, they grow quieter, deeper. Fans begin to understand that the pain of that moment comes not from certainty, but from the uncertainty left hanging in the air, like a flight announcement that never gets called. Some say this may be why Zhao Lusi and Liu Yuning's breakup feels so real. There's no explanation. There's no neat closure. Just like so many stories in real life, everything stops midway, leaving an empty space that needs to be filled with acceptance. Amid all the speculation, one thing is certain. Honest emotion cannot be faked. The brief glance, the halting steps, and the unbearably long silence, all of it was proof that what happened at the airport was no mere coincidence. Perhaps years from now, this moment will be remembered as a fleeting, faint memory. But for those who witnessed it today, the feeling will always be fresh, like a wound that hasn't fully healed, but is already a part of them. And fans understand. Not all love stories need to be announced. Not all feelings need confirmation. Sometimes, a silent moment at the airport is enough to explain everything. Now, only speculation remains. Was this a temporary separation? Or a separation that was never truly named? No one knows. And maybe we don't need to know. What's clear is that 15 minutes ago, the entertainment world wasn't rocked by a scandal or a major announcement. It was rocked by silence, by a stare, by slowly retreating steps. And there, millions of fans wept, not because they lacked answers, but because they understood feelings that were never expressed. Broken heart.